are here for our weekly golf press conference with head coach Zach Zedrick and Patrick Flavin. Patrick, what was the biggest challenge you had to overcome in order to secure the first place finish at the Mountaineer Intercollegiate?
Yeah, I think it was obviously a great field, so there's lots of great golfers there. And then on being on such a great golf course, such a great test of golf, you really need to stay in the moment mentally, and I felt like I did a really good job of that.
How did your play at the Pete Dye course different from your play at the past courses this season?
Pete Dye is a really good test. We've played on lots of really good courses. I think I drew on lots of information from previous tournaments on places like you need to hit it and the things you need to do to get it done. So I think Pete Dye is just a little bit different being up in the mountains in West Virginia, but obviously still playing golf.
How will you take this winning momentum and bring it to the Dayton Flyer Invitational next week?
Yeah, I think I learned a lot this fall, even when I was struggling a little bit, and then getting this win was just a huge momentum shift for me, and I think I'll just try to go into next week and get another win.
Thanks, Patrick. Coach, what do you feel were the biggest improvements made by the team at the Mountaineer Intercollegiate?
I think in a lot of ways we're continuing to play with more and more confidence, which is great to see. I think the confidence is kind of the biggest thing. The scores are not, I don't think, very indicative of how well I think our guys are playing. I just think it's just these little stretches that add up really fast for some of our guys. We had I was talking to him yesterday. I think if our five guys together would have been paired together, I think we would have only shot 5 or 6 over. But when you're separated and things start going a little sideways, it can be easy to kind of just go really kind of inside yourself and just you kind of almost forget about the fact that, hey, my score is counting, and you get kind of caught up in trying to fix what might be going wrong physically or mentally or emotionally, and it takes longer rather than just focusing on what you can control. Realize, hey, like, it's just one shot, it's just one hole. I've still got plenty of time to help our team out, and I think that's something that that we could definitely continue to improve upon.
Did Patrick's exceptional play have any effect on the rest of the team, you think? And can it help going forward?
Oh, absolutely. I think Patrick is, like, right now a great example of what being committed and just sticking to your guns and sticking to the process can do for you. Because as Pat said, like, it hasn't been – the start wasn't necessarily what he wanted, but he's felt good about his game. Not everything had come together at the same time. But it did not change in any way, like, how he was approaching things on a daily basis. Because, it could be easy. These guys have a lot on their plates. They've got school, they've got personal commitments. Obviously, everything we're doing from a golf standpoint, it can be easy to get a little sidetracked if the golf isn't going the way you want it to. But Patrick has been really steadfast and, like, hey, this is – there's peaks and valleys, and I'm in a little bit of a valley, but I'm just going to keep showing up. And that's something we've been talking a lot about this fall is, like, the guys that get rewarded the most are the guys that just keep showing up and keep putting in time. So I think it's a great example of what just continuing to show up and work hard and be a good teammate can do.
The Dayton Flyer Invitational is the team's last tournament of the fall season. What mindset do you hope for the team to have going into the tournament as well as afterwards?
Well, I think the guys feel like they've been getting better every week, especially the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I feel the same way. Kind of going back to what I talked about earlier, we've been doing things a little differently in the practice rounds this year, and been finding different ways to kind of compete, as a team and compete for each other, and one of the things. And it was actually Patrick that had this idea on one of the holes. It was a hole we had struggled with last year at Pete Dye, really easy, reachable par 5. And he's like, let's just play this one under as a team. And it was almost like the team took on this different mentality. It's like we've got a group score that we have to accomplish together. And they did it. And we did it a couple more times on holes that we had struggled with. And the guys did well, and they happened to play well. They played those holes well during the tournament overall. So it's kind of it's a different mentality. It's like when you come up to a par 4, it's not thinking about it necessarily as a par 4, it's a par 16 because 4 scores are going to count. And like, what can I do to contribute to that? And it was interesting seeing that mentality during the practice round on Sunday, and then seeing on Tuesday where, pretty much outside of Patrick, everyone had one or two stretches where they were really kind of fighting themselves and really kind of struggling to get themselves back to neutral. And I think if we can do a better job of keeping that mentality we had during the practice round, during those holes where we would kind of challenge ourselves to do that, I think we're going to play a lot better. So we're going to key on that a little bit when we're playing here in the next few days. Find a way to kind of emphasize that as a team, and we'll see what happens. But as far as the mentality goes for the winter, it's a year-long process. It's a year-long season. There's just different focuses, and obviously when we wrap up next week, there's going to be a little bit more focus on what we do in the weight room and guys making sure they're really on top of things with school to finish the semester strong, and then start to get plans in place so that as they start getting back into golf, whether it's after taking maybe 1 week off or taking 2, 3, or 4 weeks off, like how am I going to approach getting better over the winter so that when we come back at the end of January, we hit the ground running and start kicking butt in the spring.
What does the competition look like in Dayton, and what can we expect from the NCR course?
It's a lot of Ohio schools. Michigan's going to be playing. We saw them at Inverness. We're looking forward to seeing them again. We're really NCR is the South course. There is, it's one of the best golf courses in the country. Frankly, it's hosted a major championship. It's a great test. It's hard, but it's right in front of you. You play well. You're going to score well. So it's going to be another great. It's really kind of about, for us next week, it's kind of about the golf course and handling how the golf course is testing us, and just kind of, continuing to improve on how we kind of handle ourselves and how we just compete as a team. And if we just focus on those couple of things, the results, it just takes care of itself.